wasn't ready to start yet.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. What's going on, man? The big homie back.
Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi sallam. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wa sadada tabi'ina wa ulama amilina wa a'ima arba'i mujtahidin wa muqallidihim ila yawm ad-din. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, brought you another episode of our podcast, The Solutions, where we try to offer a solution to the problem. We may discuss some controversial topics, but at least we try to bring a solution at the end of the day. So tonight, within a few minutes, just wanted to let y'all know, because of the topic, we talk about the blame game, right? And I started thinking, I think we need a sister voice on here, So I invited my good friend and sister, she's no stranger, Sister Zafira, to come on. Yeah. Oh, I bring it on.
It's gonna get saucy tonight, though, baby. It's gonna be saucy.
Listen. She ain't scared of the challenge, so
I know.
And she ain't gonna get too ratchet, She ain't, So it should be a good thing, inshallah. It should be a good thing. But before we get started, I said, the topic is about the blame game. Like I said, we discuss these topics in order to create solutions, because you can't really bring about a revolution and a change without creating some kind of solution. And not only on top of that, when you're dealing with revolutionary thoughts, it's always intellectual. It begins intellectually before it ends up being more of an industrial, hands-on, type of thing. So, inshallah, we're not trying to add to the war, because one of the things that I personally believe, in our time is needed is Islam and solid family structure. This is what will assist us, in the future, for further establishment. The more we mold our families, and cultivate them with Islam and establish our families based on Islam, because, we're at a standstill with some of the problems that we're having today is because of the fact that, Islam isn't what's governing our relationships. Our relationships is being governed by this, that, and the third, everything else now. I mean, think about it, right? That was my sheikh, man, the sheikh, Kevin Samuels. That was my man's, right? But think about it. As Muslims, we got to be in hella bad shape to be, like, heavily relying on a non-Muslim, right? We used to have like that type of fortitude and izzah with us, like, they can't non-Muslim tell us nothing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, when a brother used to quote like a non-Muslim or crazy, used to be kind of like look at him like kind of side eye, We wouldn't quote T.D. Jakes. You know what I mean? T.D. Jakes, he was all about the love life. You know what I mean? But what's happened is that it's such a breakdown. And, the influence of feminism and all of the different isms, it's taking a toll. And I personally think that with Black American, with the black, hold on 1 second. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
Now we hear you.
Y'all hear me?
Just your screen froze. Yeah, your screen froze. That's what happened when you get them phone calls.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right. So yeah, with
you got two screens. You got two screens, Imam Khalil.
All right, let me see. I'm trying to.
Jericho.
Right, the other one gone. He was the imposter. But anyway, with the Black American family, there's a strain on everything. It's pulling at us, right? You got, aside from, the economic crippling that we suffer from, right? And that's not no excuse. That's real, right? With inflation, we about to feel what they felt back in Franklin Roosevelt, FDR days with the Great Depression and all that, right? You got all of these things going on, and here we are still arguing about, who pays 50% of this, who don't pay 50% of that. Oh, it's about to be lit, right? So you think about it. Look at what's happening, right? So you have all these things that's surrounding us and playing on us in the future of our family and our family structure, and we're starting to lose. And you know what hurts us the most? Our children lose out, because they lose out. Sometimes we get in marriages and relationship, right, as if children won't come out of these relationships. Now, granted, I know people always I want to have kids. If you get an old normal relationship, children come out of this, right? And then what happens when the children come out of it, right? So we don't think about this whole thing, and I think the whole approach, right? We kind of I think this is my personal opinion, and I'm gonna chill out and I'm gonna let Muhammad go on, because y'all gonna talk about accountability and stuff. But I think that what's influencing us more than ever now is that love and hip hop type of relationship. We want it to be Kofi and Kimar marriages, right? You want that kind of salt. Think about it, because there's no reason why our sisters, when they husband take a wife, why she feels like she got to come out, almost like set the record straight, like, yo, it's me. This is who I am, and he don't know. And then the man and more automatically have to be guilty and has to be a liar. He's lying, girl. He'll lie to you, and it's all like it's stuff is staged. And and like I always said, we see more of our jahiliyyah, more ignorance than we see that the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So people could always tell you what happened with Benzino, and this person, and Jim Jones used to mess with her, and K. Michelle was on here first before she started doing this, and this, that, and the third, and this person. Because why? Because that's what we're into, right? When you start asking people about Khadijah, the only thing they know about Khadijah, with the Prophet sallallahu, and then they say this and they give the wrong information. Well, she was wealthy and she had a business, and she didn't let her husband. But first of all, let's correct that. The Prophet sallallahu was part business owner. He wasn't no employee. He was business owner. He business partner, right? However, whoever, I don't know how they get that he was an employee. He was the business owner. He was the one running the business. He was part of the business. She let him in, right? And when they say that he stepped away to continue dawah, meaning he didn't have that same responsibility as a partner for that business, right? But when you ask people about that, that's the only thing they know, and they be like, "Well, she was the only wife, right?" And then after she died, he had plenty of other wives. And then some people are like, "Well, that's the sunnah, and that ain't." I mean, all of this is just compounded ignorance and trying to mix the jahiliyyah in it, and so therefore, this is what you have today. So, I mean, I think we almost at the point now where everybody's at Mexican standstill. People ain't even getting married no more. So, I'll tap out, let y'all do y'all thing. I'm gonna mute my mic, but I'll still have my camera.
Nah, don't mute the mic. Don't mute the mic. Just dive in. Like I said, always make it organic.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be in, but I got a house full of kids. You might. All right, go ahead. I'm here though.
Abu Muhammad, how you feel about it, Abu Muhammad? How you feel what Imam Khalil said about it? What he said?
MashaAllah, he said a whole lot, but I'm gonna let Imam Malik Robinson take the mic. Because
nah, ain't no waving off. Because you came up with the
topic.
You came up with the topic, my G.
This is the agreed upon topic that you came up
That's
with.
fact. You came up with the topic.
I'm collecting my thoughts. I'm collecting my memoirs. I'm collecting my thoughts.
I'm gonna bring some real sauce to the thing.
So look then. Look.
It's gonna be saucy, so I'm trying to chill first.
Hold on, y'all don't mind. Let the sister speak then. Let's get it.
I absolutely want to agree with Khalil, because I always tell people too when it comes to television is that if you even look at the word tell the vision, who vision are you telling? Sometimes we're telling the vision of Shaitan. Like seriously, like a lot of those things that we look at and we watch, and I'm not saying that I'm exempt to, because sometimes I'm watching Home Alone today right now. But but the point of the matter is that if you don't be careful what's coming through your eyes, because people think that because you're watching something that it's not impacting you, it seeps into your subconscious. If you keep seeing it over and over and over and over and over again, you are it's going to impact you. It just is. And just to give you an example, like one time this black man walked past my car and I locked the door. And I was like, why did I even do that? Like, I had to question myself, like, why did I even do that? But that's because it's the mentality that, oh, if a male is black and he is big, he's going to do something to you. But that all comes from the stereotypes that we see all the time, every single day. And we got to be mindful of that. We got to be careful of that when we decide to engage in, that kind of stuff. So I totally agree with it. But, it was about accountability. So I'm just curious about what people had to say about it.
It's going to get saucy. Don't worry. Go get saucy.
Yeah.
Next up. Sully, let's go. Let's get it.
Man. See, I don't be liking to touch, on these topics too much because, like I said, I'm already labeled as a shenanigan person, the player man, supposedly. So my output, my output.
Go with your shenanigans. Go ahead, go in, man.
But the thing about it, man, accountability. I'm gonna keep it all the way real. Accountability is the accountability part. Why our women blame us for the downfall? Everything is due to none of us like looking in the mirror, right? None of us like looking in the mirror. And the reason why I say a lot of black men, I may be wrong, but from what I understand, especially people that came from, my background where you was incarcerated, you had to sit your butt down and reflect on every little problem that you had. You had to learn how to do problem solving, and your problem solving was, let me see if I can not escalate this problem so we won't go to war. So you had to be a problem solver, right? When you was incarcerated, right? You had to reflect on like, okay, this issue that I have may cause this more problems. So let me chill with this. So back, with us black men who were incarcerated, we had to do a lot of self-reflection. This is why you see a lot of men come home. You see some of us that, what we say in Jersey, check the kufi in, but a lot of us come home, with a stronger mindset because we had to think. We left our women out here to defend for themselves, right? So they had to defend for themselves. So now they don't know what accountability is, right? When you got to constantly be on a defensive platform, you ain't gonna know when to be like, okay, I was in the wrong, because who is there to check you, right? If you think about, like I got 4 sisters, right? All of my sisters' friends, when a problem came, they all agreed with her. They never chastised her if she was wrong, and they never chastised each other when they was wrong. They could have got the guy for $10,000, $5,000, excuse my French, had relationships with the man and stole money out of his pockets, and they won't be like, yo, why you take the money from him? They won't chastise them on it. They'll praise them for it. So a lot of our women is out here defending for themselves. So who is there to chastise them and say, look, you're wrong? So when we come to them, like, look, baby, sweetheart, my love, this situation here is wrong. The first thing she's going to go is into a defensive stage because she doesn't know how to do problem, resolve. Especially, I'm not speaking for all our women, but the women that come from our neighborhoods, right? Which is the mass majority of a lot of our inner city women. They came from our environment. They're just like us, but they have a khimar. So the first thing they know how to do is say, okay, what you mean by that? What you talking about? What you saying? So they don't know how to say, maybe I am wrong. And then the women that, Zafira, you can, like I said, you can check me on this. How often would you try to give us a woman that see with an advice she put on Facebook, it turned left and she came at you?
It's only ever been once, and it was about polygyny, and that was an issue for me. And me and her went back and forth. But in general, no, because I always say, truth without tact is just cruelty. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll be like, we just go in attack mode, like, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. But I want to say, because I want to go back to something that you said in the beginning, is like women always like to blame the men. Who is the Kawam in the house? Who's the leader in the house?
Male, of course.
No. So, and I'm not saying this as far as husband and wife, right? So as I'm growing up, my father and my mother are supposed to teach me. But if I'm lacking that figure that's going to chastise me and learn and teach me how to be accountable, I can't do that. I can't do that. So, and then I'm learning from a woman who learned from a woman, because fathers are in the household. And I did a podcast on this, how important it is to have fathers in the household. Everything starts with y'all. And I'm not saying it in a sense of pointing the finger that you are the problem. It's just that one of the things that I've learned is touch is very important, and especially from your spouse. It's been times where I've been irate and my spouse be like, it's okay, blah, 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 and just able to soothe me and help me self-regulate and stuff like that. And you are so right. Women, a lot of women don't hold each other accountable to each other. And that's true. And I try to have a lot of different people who will check me. And I self-reflect a lot too. Like, anybody that knows me, they'll tell you, like, I'm a self-reflector. And it's hard. And it's hard. It hurts. But the problem is you gotta stand in that discomfort. And nobody wants to do it. Everybody wants to point the finger and say, this person did this to me. But what did you do back? Like, for example, I give this example all the time. Because people always like, you can't tell me. People always talk about what I did to you, but they never talk about what you did to me. And I always give this example. Out of all you guys, if I come around, I slap each and every last one of you, you're all going to respond differently. And it's because of who you are that you respond that way. And that's the accountability that you have to take control over. So I don't blame people for the way I acted, regardless of if they did something to me. And you have to take accountability for that. Like, listen, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to go above and beyond. I didn't have to treat you like that. Even though you did this to me, I should have left in kindness and forgive you and move on.
But that's why I said. But forgive me. But that's why I said. In the beginning, like you called it, the first thing I said is that we left our women out here to defend for themselves, right? Especially in our neighborhoods, right? If you think about it, especially the young African American men who found Islam, come from the inner cities, and a mass majority of us have touched, not a lot of us, but a lot of us have touched, the prison system, right? And then we left our women out here to defend for themselves. So now they're defending for themselves. They don't have the person to chastise them to say, look, you're wrong about that, right? And as I said before, I said that, the reason why men were able to, reflect and hold ourselves to account, especially the men who reflected on that, is because we was forced to. Prison makes you have to reflect on yourself. If you want change and you want to come out, you got to reflect on every little thing about yourself, from the ups to down, what makes you smile, what makes you cry, what makes you this. You have to. You're forced to do so. So, I was just, saying that, you're absolutely right. That's why I said that. We made y'all defend for yourselves because we was gone. Either it was from the welfare system or from the prison system. We had to leave the homes for y'all to get Section 8, or we left the home due to the drugs and the violence in our communities.
Now, hold on. Let's
no, because I got a question for him, because I remember one podcast we did together. You said that you're petty. So how are you addressing that?
How I'm dressing? I'm petty. Oh, I'm still petty. I'm still the type of person. Yo, didn't you tell me that you said this back at 2:00 in the afternoon on this? Yeah, I'm still petty. But my pettiness is accountability, right? And is the street morals. Say what you mean and mean what you say, because I'm gonna hold you account for it. That's how petty I am. You said this, then bro, you got to stand on that.
Well, that ain't really
better stand on
that.
That's
just more so holding.
And then, hold on. But then, like I said, by me making you hold account, I'm gonna remind you, yo, bro, didn't you say this? and I'm gonna do something to make you, have to hold yourself accountable. So yeah, I'm kind of petty. Yeah, I'm petty.
Now, this the thing, right? So accountability. We said a whole lot here. So you got my brain is like rolling right now, right? You said accountability, right? We said we made responsibility. All right, so let's go back. I got an old school principle that I still stand on to this day. I ain't do it. I ain't responsible for what somebody else did to you. I'm gonna tell you that right for the rip, right? That's number one. So I ain't apologizing for him breaking your heart. That ain't my problem. Get over it. Shorty broke my heart. I'm here with you. Now either we gonna move forward or we gonna move separate, right? I don't care what he used to do. That's why I don't ask about nobody's past and all that stuff. You know what I mean? What I need to know, I'll find out. But all that stuff, I ain't got nothing to do with homie. I ain't got nothing to do with scrams. Second thing, when you think of the ayat that everyone quotes, right? And everyone quotes this ayat, and I think they interpret it, give it their own reinterpretation. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, Ar-Rijal Qawwamuna 'ala Nisa, right? Right? The men are responsible for the women, right? They're qawm, right? You see what it says? It says Rijal. It doesn't say Zoj, right? It says Rijal. So really the first heartbreak or the first man that let women down, it's not her husband. She takes out that energy, but she really, if she grew up without a father, that energy is really directed at her father because he neglected her. As the sister mentioned here, a lot of African American women come from single families with a household where the father was absent, so we have a difficulty listening to any man who's in authority. That is absolutely true. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. Now, the thing is this. Once you got that interpretation, so now that becomes, oh, these brothers, this, that, and third, they ain't got no money, they ain't this, I ain't listening. Now they make their own condition, right? Allah is divine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the man is in that position. Khalas. There's nothing to argue about, right? Mm-hmm. What is all this? Well, if I find a man to lead me, then I'll follow him, right? When you start acting like a man, then I'll act like a woman. That's asinine. You already coming in ready to break down the system, right? I mean, think about it. We're arguing about who's on top. The world done moved forward now. They got your kids thinking they girls when they boys and boys thinking when they girls, right? Mm-hmm. While we still sitting here arguing about who gonna pay the whole bill, who gonna pay half the bill. Let's put it like this. If I don't pay the whole bill, we're gonna be without a utility. We're gonna be without a place to live. If you got the money, you're gonna hold on to that money because I'm the man. It's better you just go ahead and pack up and leave, right? This is the whole point. Allah didn't force you to be together and to stay together. If there's a problem, then you part in kindness. As Allah said, these are Allah's words, right? Part in kindness. But what happens is we love drama. We like to complain. We love the attention, lights, cameras, action. So we'll be like, these brothers ain't nothing. These sisters is foul, man. Meanwhile, you still with the same woman. Meanwhile, you still with the same man. Then you're like, yo, what's really the real problem? Well, this brother, he only want to pay 50-50. Well, what would you pay before he came along? The whole thing. What if at least he coming and save you half your money, right? We're not even looking at that. Now it's just like, and so then what happens is it sounds good, and the only one that puffed their chest out is the one who got that kind of money that can do that thing. But 85% of the people are coming from not having anything. And then y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I've been saying this all week, and I still stand on it. We ain't complaining about a man not being able to do nothing. We know if you got some felonies, your money gonna be little, right? Unless you make your own business. And for some reason, we don't have that do for self mentality no more, right? So most men are like, what? I'm just gonna say it. Either you're gonna soak and feel sorry for yourself, or you're gonna just work that little no-end slave job that you got and try to make it better situation. But what I think personally is when you get this, you gotta read the undertone, right? One thing I've learned, and I've been around for a long time, dealt with different situations, different people, and even myself, right? One thing I've recognized about the Muslims, all right, when men were trying to be that sole provider, they didn't have a lot of money. So the common question for a lot of women, a lot of men, married sisters, and was like, look, I don't want you working no more. I want you at home, right? And there were women that were doing it. They weren't satisfied because it was a lifestyle change. She wanted the man. But it was a lifestyle change. So now she went to the imam, right? Imam, you know, I had a good job before. You know, we're struggling. You know, my husband's struggling to make ends meet. I mean, we're not out in the streets. We got, you know, we got food in the refrigerator and things like that. But we struggling. But he made me quit my job. Or before she even get to the imam, she talking to Sister Fulan. And Sister Fulan and Fulan and Fulan. And Sister Fulan, Fulan. And they got that little circle. And guess what they say? Girl, you stupid. Right? Now, this is where you justify the foolery. Right? You have to justify it. Before you start acting on it, how can you trust? Because I believe that the stereotype that brothers are getting now is based off of mistrust, which is a thing that goes back to a plantation. It goes back to the plantation. You gotta have mistrust. When you don't want to follow nobody, I'm an imam. And people come and go all the time. They with me, imam, I love you, I'm with you. Then they leave me. And how they do it? You have to develop mistrust before you break camp. Children, before they break away from their parents, they have to bring about mistrust. They have to blame somebody on something in order to break off. It's never like, yo, I'm messed up and this is what it is. No, it's like, you know, I ain't like the man gave a football last week. And he was talking about, dude, I didn't even know you. I never been in your house. I don't know your situation, but I felt like you was talking about me though, right? You have to create a scenario. And so with that scenario, this man, he said, look, I don't want my wife working. He got her home. He ain't making a whole lot of money, so therefore them Amazon packages ain't coming in on a regular, right? She ain't able to go out to the lunches with the sisters.
Don't
so
do that to me.
She's sitting around, down, depressed. You know, you like, damn, babe, what's wrong? I can't do this no more.
Amazon
I
is
can't do it. I'm broke. As my man Dave Chappelle, I'm broke, nigga. Right? And she's feeling some type of way. She tells her friends, the word goes around, right? Then they get to the imam, the imam, he forced me to stop working. The imam seems so conflicted because on one breath they tell the brother, get out there, stop being a bum, get out there and work. And then he tells his wife he don't want to work. Man, these sisters got good jobs and careers. You gotta let them do something. Man, come on, make up your mind. Where's the message? Where's the reality in the message? So I believe that we create an atmosphere of mistrust to justify the shenanigans that we're about to get ready to do. The same thing with a man. He creates a plethora of problems. My wife's disobedient. Dude, she's been disobedient for about the last 7 years. And you just now deciding that the thing that's going to fix it is get another wife? Not that I'm against polygyny. I'm in polygyny. But you think that you getting another one is going to fix that problem? And I'm not campaigning campaigning for men to be like, oh, you got to fix your wife's behavior. That's her problem to fix that. You're not going to stand with her on the day of judgment. There ain't no bunk beds in the grave. She got to fix her bad problem. The only way you can fix that problem is either, you know, tighten up, you know, put a little pressure, or like, look, if this don't stop, we're going to have to separate, right? But we create this atmosphere. We think, yo, I'm going to get this other sister and this is going to be better. And sometimes you get the other sister, she's worse than the last one, right? So we create shenanigans before, you know, you go to that. And that's part of the blame game.
But
blame game.
I want to ask.
I said a lot. I know I'm going to be quiet.
No, it's fine. Because I want to.
I
want to add to that because what people don't understand is this: the spouse that you pick is a reflection of you. Because people will get into the same kind of relationship over and over and over again, and they'll blame it on a man. But no, it's something in you that you see in them, and you keep doing it the same thing over and over and over again. You have to fix what's inside yourself. So even like you know, so like even when I started to learn how to believe people's behaviors and say, I know that this is not what I want. I can't fix you. No, I'm not in session. I can't fix you. You can't fix me. It's only going to work as if I start to learn to do what I need to do for myself, and you have to do what it is that you do for yourself, and we come together as a family and make this thing work. And people don't get there. I'm like, how do you have 4 abusive relationships back to back to back? How? And then when I talk to them and I counsel them, I said, well, he's cussing you out because his mom checked you about y'all 2 being on the phone together. I said, there's no accountability. I said, you should have hightailed it out the door that day. Like, you know what? No, this is, but I feel like us as women, because in general we're natural nurturers. We always believe we can fix somebody, and you can't, and you got to be okay with that, you know. And like to give you an example, one time I was in polygyny, and I went over my husband's house, and he came home and he like, why you here? I'm like, oh, I said I was gonna come. He was like, so he wound up staying with me even though it wasn't my night. And we wound up getting into it. And he said, well, you would have felt some type of way if I would have left and went over there. And I said, and guess whose problem is that? Mine's. I knew it wasn't my night. So why make me happy to disappoint someone else and disappoint yourself? And so it's just like also being, you just have to do it. Like everybody has to be on the same page, and everybody got to hold themselves accountable. And I can tell you the crap hurts. It really do. I spend nights crying about stuff that I've done to people. I apologize, and if you can accept it, mashallah, you cannot. Okay, you know, I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect, and vice versa. And you got to give other people grace too. But I think a lot of times why people don't want to hold themselves accountable is not only the uncomfortability of holding yourself accountable, is you don't want to give yourself grace afterwards. Because some people who do hold themselves accountable, they overcompensate to the point that they start to destroy themselves to hold it in the name of accountability. And that's not accountability. That's just destroying yourself. And I've seen women do this. Like, so it's either like people on the far left, no accountability, or they're on the far right. It's way too much. And it's a middle ground. And we have to do that. Owning your stuff, apologizing.
Where y'all brothers at? Y'all quiet tonight?
No, I'm not. Y'all to see with me, right? Here go my question, because we you know, Zafirda, you said something about building families, right? And I spoke to Abu Muhammad about it, right? I said, Abu Muhammad, right? A lot of our women, right? I said a lot of our women got their tubes tied, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has their tubes tied. Mm-hmm. Or some of our women, can't even have children due to any medical, due to medical issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times men come into marriages where a woman already has what she wants, right? She may say, I wanted 3 kids. She got her 3 kids. She has her 4 kids. She has her 2 kids. How can a person think about creating families, right? When they already have in their mind what they have already. So now a lot of times men are coming into a marriage trying to wiggle their way in and find a way in of the marriage, but she's already stable with what she has. So you can't really create something with somebody if they already have in their mind that they got what they wanted to create. Mm-hmm. So now the man is just the man now is almost to the point where it's like he's just her complement, right? He's just the complement of what goes on in her lifestyle.
Trophy husband,
right? You get what I'm saying? So now,
I think I know where you're going with it, Sully. Right? Now this, I'm gonna add to it, and what you're saying exactly, I'm gonna sum it up. I think we getting chose. Remember, men used to do the choosing. The men were the hunters. Now you being hunted, right? Now this is the thing. I think one of the things that's missing and why we're not growing is there's a lack of optimism there. We're pessimistic. We're more pessimistic than we are optimistic, right? And so what we start focusing on is, and you got to remember, I'm old. I'm like a statue. I'm almost a statue. And they probably, put my kufi in the cement in front of Masjid Uthman in a couple more years, right? But anyway, at one point in time, it was an honorable thing for a man, and Islam does Allah rewards you for it, right? To take care of a child, because a child without a father, whether he's dead or alive, is considered an orphan, right? So you coming in and you playing a role and responsibility. I remember at a point in time, and I know Muhammad can attest to this too, is where women at one point were literally begging men to pick their children up and bring them to the masjid. Their boys, particularly, they were losing them. And you have to think about it, the ratio, and all the things that's playing is a lot that's playing behind this, but we can't get nowhere because of the mentality. That's my case in point. there's no optimism there. We're not optimistic no more. We're not there like, oh, we can go in and establish this, establish that, but we're more pessimistic, and we kind of like almost see everybody with a cookie cutter mentality. And I gotta be honest, and I think we're like almost there. You know, there's a little light left. But one thing that's missing in current times, I remember that time where everybody wanted to be like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It ain't like that no more. It ain't like that no more. That ain't even in the picture. You know, like everybody always had that famous story, right? This is why I kind of like learned to be a little more patient. Is where he's talking about when Omar was a Khalifa, right? Everybody know this story. And the man was going to Omar to go complain about his wife, the way she talked to him. She talked to him spicy, right? And he heard Omar's wife giving him the business. And Umar peeped that somebody was coming to the door, but they turned around, they was leaving, and Umar like left out, went out and was like, yo, come back, right? Call them back. That kind of stuff taught men, you know, a certain thing. Everybody gets mad with their wife, correct? Or even their husband in that case, right? But what did the Prophet tell us to do? To look to the good in them, right? You're not talking about somebody that's like with infidelities or anything like that. She might just talk to you the wrong way sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong, that could be the shoes and could end up, in a divorce. So it's all a matter to the person's tolerance, but not to downplay it, right? But you kind of like you learn a lot of what's the word? I want to use clemency. You learn a lot of clemency, how to be forbearing. Now we just like that's it, it's over. This, that, and the third, and then we're looking for somebody to blame, right? You'll be married to a person and they have horrible character, and then they look at you and you reprimanding them. They'll either do one or two things. You ain't perfect, or you knew who I was before you got to me. So it's just pass it off, I'm gonna stop talking. Go ahead, y'all.
I mean, let me chime in a little bit. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Everybody, come on.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. We start with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send countless salutations upon our master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah, one thing I've learned in my, over 25 years of being Muslim since I was a little kid, my teenage years is, I'm not politically correct. We used to try to fit in this box where we want everybody to be pleased with us. We don't want to say the wrong things. But now I realize, as you get older, man, you don't care. I don't care what nobody say about me. Wallah al-Azim. As long as I'm right with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what matters. So let people say what they want to say, because they're going to say stuff about you if you're doing good or if you're doing bad. So I say that to say a lot of our, of our marriages, our relationships, our dealings just with each other as brothers and sisters, it's not predicated off of Islam. It's not. It's predicated off of our views, our theories, our thoughts, and a lot of times it's from kufr. It has nothing to do with Islam. So, one ayat in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions in Surah An-Nisa where he tells the spouses, he says, وَأَشِّرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says to live with one another in kindness. Live with one another in kindness. So I say that to say a lot of times we don't learn our religion enough to even know what kindness is in Islam. What is kindness in Islam? To the point where, if you study the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you'll know these things. Everything with me, it goes back to the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you know anything about me, you know that I love the seerah. I love to teach the seerah, listen to other people, speak and teach the seerah, because that's where we get our deen from. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the living example. As Amir Khalil mentioned, we want to be like everyone except for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in the Quran, he says about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he is the perfect example. And this is not for if you want to be, I don't even know the terms now, hot girl summer, hot boy summer, whatever. It's not for those people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the best example for those whose hope is with Allah in the last day. And it's to the point where I don't even like to talk anymore, because it's like repeating yourself, repetitious and going back and forth. And then you got to check yourself like, damn, am I really doing this? That's why I sit down a lot now. I shut up. Because if I reflect, I say, are you like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That's self-accountability. Self-accountability. We don't take self-accountability. We throw the blame. Oh, my marriage didn't work out because she made me feel this way. He made me feel that way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that when an issue arises, then refer it back to Allah and his messenger. That's what we refer it back to. Not Cardi B or whoever, Future, whoever. We refer it back to Allah and his messenger. But we don't do that. It's just, oh, the woman, oh, I don't like the way you made me feel because you said this. The brother, oh, you ain't do this. So I don't like the way you made me feel. It's a lot of selfishness, and it's no selflessness where you give up yourself for your spouse because the greater goal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with you. Now, if you look in the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you'll see in the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you'll see submission and obedience. And that's something that as men that we not to say thrive off, but like we big on that. Like, I'm a man, you gonna give me my respect, right? Even amongst each other as men, like, yo, I ain't gonna let boy disrespect me. Y'all pop me, y'all bang me, you know what I mean? So that's something as men that we serious on. You're gonna respect me. So look in the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they knew how to be obedient and submissive. And Mahmoud, turn that down, son, please, son, turn that down. So, and it's not to say that the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't give him flack. If you look at the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were the best of women, yet and still they were women at the end of the day. Our mother Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she once broke a dish. One of the wives, I think it was Salama, she sent the dish to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was in Aisha's house. She broke the dish, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that clemency, that hilm, that forbearance, he picked up the dish and he said, your mother, verily, she has jealousy. So the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we want to say they got
hers. Remember, he made
it too. Right, and he made a replacement. So that's that accountability, right? That's that accountability. But yet and still,
exactly.
The wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had to check them. And when it always came back to the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam being checked, what brought them back was the book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As was Umar ibn al-Khattab. They said what used to calm Umar down was when you remind him of the book of Allah. Umar, he used to keep young boys with him. When he was the Khalifa, he used to keep the reciters of the Quran with him. The people who memorized the Quran, the people who was endowed in the fiqh, he used to keep them with him. So he had Abdullah ibn Abbas one day, who was the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to have him in his court, amongst the old heads. And he once asked the people in the majlis, in the gathering, about the surah An-Nasr. Either Ja'a Nasrullahi wal Fath. He said, and he's asking them about the tafsir. He said, what is this, surah? What does this indicate? Or what do you get from this surah? So, each companion was saying is this and this and this. And he asked Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who was the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they said about his knowledge, he was like al-bahr. He was like the ocean in his knowledge. It was vast. At 13 years old, he used to sit on the doorsteps of some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ all day just for a single hadith. And he used to be with his cousin Muhammad ﷺ when he was young. And that, famous hadith where, we say, what's for you is for you and what's, won't miss you. That's derived from that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he told Ibn Abbas, Ya Ghulam, oh boy, if all of the world or all of the nations came together to give you something and it wasn't in the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll never get it. And if all of the people came together to take something away from you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had it in the qadr for you to get it, they can't take it away from you. So this is Ibn Abbas. So I say that to say, so Umar, he asked them about this ayat, and Ibn Abbas, he said that this ayat, it indicated the death of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Umar ibn al-Khattab, he said, I don't know of any other interpretation of that than what he said, meaning Abdullah ibn Abbas. So, I'll be all over the place sometimes. So the accountability, like I said, the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they could be checked to the point where once the Prophet ﷺ, he was ready to divorce all of his wives. See, we don't study the Sirah. We think the Prophet ﷺ, he was the best of men and kind and forbearing, but the Prophet ﷺ, he would get angry at times. And they said that when the Prophet ﷺ would get angry, you could see it in his face, that like it would be a vein that would arise from like his neck or his head, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet ﷺ, the best of men, he got angry. So if it's righteous anger, then you can have that. We don't have any ghira nowadays. There's no protective jealousy. You just let your woman go out and do anything, and your husband can do anything. That's why everything is jacked up now in this age of social media. Social media, you can sit in a house nowadays and be more into some BS than you can be outside. And I'm not subject to, I'm not away from this myself. When I speak, I never speak like I'm saying I or y'all, or it's me. It's me. I'm shot out. Well, I'm shot out. So I ain't going fraud with nobody. You know what I'm saying? So you can sit in a house. Damn, my wife getting on my nerves. Oh, but Sister Amatullah, she in my inbox though. What you people sound like, sis? Oh, my husband, he getting on my nerves, but I know, you know what I mean? Abu Jibril, whoever, he hit me up. I got options.
Baby face.
And you be sitting at the house and Shaitan be sitting right in your lap.
What
sit
kind
down.
of man leave you out in the cold?
So Shaitan, he be sitting right in your lap. So you ain't even got to go outside. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was going, and I'm going, but I'm going. Just be patient with me, inshallah. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was going to divorce all of his wives. Why? Some dunya had came in. So in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the most zahid of people. He did away with the dunya. He had the option to have everything. Jibril, we came and asked him, you can be a rich prophet king, like Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. Nabi Dawood and his son Sulaiman. Some of the richest kings ever, if not the richest kings ever. They had the ability, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they could speak to the birds. They understood the language of the birds. And they gave praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his fadl, for his bounty. But Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "La, I'd rather be like Prophet Isa alayhi salam, a poor prophet, and earn my sustenance day by day." So when you equate that to our time now, oh, you want to earn your sustenance day by you bum ass nigga? What you mean? But we talking about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was going to divorce all his wives because they wanted some dunya. The ghazwat, the battles was coming in. And they was getting, the war booty and things like this. So they asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for some of it. Like, Ya Rasulullah, we got needs. We live in, from day to day. Some days we don't even got food in our house to cook. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he got angry by this. He got angry by this because he wasn't living for the dunya as we are, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he withdrew. Mahmoud, turn that down. Damn. See, this is stuff come with marriage. When you have kids and stuff, you gotta yell at. May Allah bless us. But so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he withdrew, and he was in the masjid, in the upper, part of the masjid for about, I believe it was 29 or 30 days. And this is at a time when the Muslims was on alert from a war with the Romans. So they came and they said they had some news, and Umar ibn Khattab, he was asking about the news. What is it? Is it the war with the Romans? They said no, something worse than that. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he divorced his wives. So Umar, he was distraught. He went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, Ya Rasulullah, did you divorce your wives? He said no. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you can read this in Surah Ahzab. Like I said, refer everything back to the Quran. Refer everything back to the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not these theories and these views and these whatever these, these people who study this. And I'm studying the Quran. I'm studying the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam because I want that success. So he said he didn't divorce his wives, and this is in Surah Ahzab, like in the 20s, in the 20 verses. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say to your wives, if you desire the dunya, then come, I'll give you some of this, these spoils, I'll give you some of these riches, and I'll release you in a handsome manner. But if you prefer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger in the home of the hereafter, then that is better for you. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to each of his wives and asked them, do you want me to release you and give you, a handsome, status or handsome amount of money. They chose Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that shows that they can be checked, and they came back to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They came back to the obedience by the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, as far as women, and I don't know much about women, I'm a jerk. Far as women, a lot of times women, you know, they need reassurance. They need love more than us, because us as men, like, we're hard. We're hard. For me, it's hard for me to show love sometimes, because you know, you feel like a sucker. Like, man, I'm melting, and I'm showing this woman, you know, how I feel. I'm showing this woman how I feel, man. I'm a sucker. You know what I'm saying? We feel like that. Hold on, I'm sorry. Hold on.
But that's the problem, Malik. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem right there.
You're not a sucker.
We feel it. That's what I was about to say.
No.
But that's the problem. That's the problem.
We can't be vulnerable. Someone define to us what a real man is.
Exactly. It's like we can't be vulnerable. Like I watched this thing on Facebook.
Let me get back there. Let me not to touch on. Let me get back so you make your point.
Go ahead. Now go ahead, jump in. I'll piggyback off.
All right, no, so I was saying this. I'm not saying that to say it's right. That's what I was saying. You know, this is something from our jahiliyyah and our nafs that we have. But like I said, we're referring everything to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He reassured his wives. He reassured his wives to the point where, if you know the hadith of Zar, it says, you know, she sat with 11 women, and each of them were mentioning the qualities of their husband. They said, you know, my husband is like this, my husband is like that. So Zar, she mentioned, she said, you know, my husband is Abu Zar. And what can you say about Abu Zar? She said, basically, like, I was poor and I was skinny, and he came and he laced me up. He said, Abu Zar, he laced me up to the point where I got fat, I got big because I was eating so much. I was draped in jewelry. So, and they said later, Abu Zar, he remarried another woman and he divorced his wife. He divorced Zar because, you know how we do it. A younger girl came more beautiful, you know, more young after, you know, she probably gave you all these kids, and you're nuts like, man, I want her, I'm gonna divorce her. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he reassured our mother Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. He said to her, he said, I am to you as Abu Zar is to Zar, except that I will never divorce you. Except that I will never divorce you. Not like us, especially me. 5 minutes. What would you say? You divorced? I'm that boy. I ain't gonna lie. So when I say we gotta reflect and bring ourselves back to the character of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we got a lot of work to do, man. We got a lot of work to do. I've been studying Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam since I was a little kid, and I feel like I ain't even got an inkling of his sunnah yet. So we got to stop fraud, and that's what I'm gonna just say, and I'm gonna stop right there, inshallah. Allah, you know. Whatever I said was, you know, was from Allah. Whatever was wrong was from me and my nafs. Shaitan.
Yo,
may Allah grant you success.
Abu Zar was that guy, bro. That's what I learned. I like, yo, I gotta make my wife fat. That's the reason behind coming in with Reese cups and cupcakes and stuff. You gotta keep her smiling, you know. You gotta be like Abu Zar, Sheikh. You know, I love that hadith. I always talk about that hadith. Yeah. Yo, Farouk said you got the Ralph Churchman on the inside, man. Yeah. You know, my man Leak, man, yo, we done bust some tears out together, so I already know, Leak.
We definitely did. We had our days. We listened to Otis Redding and all that, you know. Come on, now, shake it off. We gotta keep moving, out.
But I want to say something because when you
go ahead, Abu Muhammad.
Oh, you want to say something?
Say something. I'm gonna cook for a minute.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that I do agree with a lot of the things that Malik said, and I wanted to add something because, you know, one of the issues that I see a lot too in the ummah, like when I'm doing therapy in my private practice, is that a lot of people in this deen also religiously abuse people. They'll bring something that is true, but don't tell the other part that is also true also. So like, for example, like say, you know, they'll be like, oh, you're not supposed to expose my sins. But my thing is, if you violated me where it could possibly take you to jail, like, I'm not going to say anything because that, and it says in the Quran that, you know, when someone does something to you, that you are allowed to say something about it because it was a violation. And that's just a short example, but I see it a lot. And sometimes when I'm doing couples counseling, I have to use that balance of, yes, I understand that it says this, but it also says this too. You can't just take things and isolate it. And I see a lot of Muslims, and I'm saying Muslims in general, they do that, or they'll focus only on one sin from someone else that is just outrageous. And I have to say, a lot of us are too damn sensitive. Too sensitive. You're giving nasiha, you give them correction, and they like, you disrespecting me, and blah. And it's like, no, it's not disrespect. I didn't call you a bum. I didn't call you stupid. I didn't say anything derogatory to you. I just told you what I see. Like, for example, this guy going to try to tell me about statistics, and I was like, well, then maybe you should go back to school and do a research paper on statistics and present your case. And he said, I attacked his character. I said, I didn't attack your character. I'm just telling you that if that's the idea that you have about the world and you want people to believe that, then go and do the research and publish that. And then we'll have sisters who will be like, oh my gosh, she is so rude. Like, I've had that. Like, I'm like, it's not rude. I said, but and then we have this mentality too of, it's so funny because I see both ends of the stick where I feel like women over hold men accountable, and then I see some that don't hold them accountable at all. And it's like those pick me women. And I get, like, as women, we're supposed to be gentle, we're supposed to be kind, and all those kinds of things. But again, if you go back to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the women would give their husbands advice. They would say things to them, and I'm quite sure it didn't come out like, hey, we shouldn't do that. Like, no, it's like, no, that's bid'ah, that's sin, that's whatever the case may be. And we are just way too sensitive, and I mean all of us is way too sensitive when giving correction or correcting ourselves. And again, it's about sitting in that uncomfortability that people need to do, and we need to stop gaslighting people so that, and I mean both ways. Even when something happens to you, like when if I do something to someone that is not okay, if they bring it up to me, I allow them to talk about it. We'll try to get like, oh, it's old, we already talked about it. But some things it wounds you so much that you have to talk about it sometimes for a while. Now, granted, it comes a time where you got to give that up. But we, like, so it's been times that I've allowed people, and when I say allow, I'm not gonna say allow. I am okay with them bringing up their pain that I may have done to them, and it may go on for months and months and months. But I gotta let them have their process. But also, after a while, I have to tell them, like, hey, a hand can't clap by itself. And sometimes we gotta take responsibility. And sometimes we gotta take responsibility what led up to the buildup of the end result. I'm responsible for the end result, but yet these are some of the chains of events that started to happen that led to the end result. And you have to take responsibilities for those parts. Now, is that always the case? Absolutely not. Sometimes people are just straight victims. And sometimes a lot of times though, people victimize each other. And we just gotta stop doing it. Like, we gotta treat people with kindness and grace, and we just gotta do the work. That's all I can say. But, mashallah.
Let's go, Muhammad. Let's go.
Come on.
I've been waiting.
Quiet all day.
I'm getting ready to cook a little bit. So, like, I'm not really piggybacking off of everybody. I'm just gonna address certain things. The bottom line is that we have to follow the sunnah, and we have to refer everything back to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, when we first of all, we're Muslims in a land that is not we're Muslims in the land that is not except Islam and Sharia is not really accepted among the general popularity of the people. We're living in a land to where everything that is the opposite and the backwardness, against the Sharia and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we dealing with in this time, and we have many of our quote unquote leaders that are real apologetic. However, I mean, one of the biggest problems that we have in regards to the decline of the Muslim Ummah in America is that the idealism of Jamaat and organizational structure is totally frowned upon, right? When you bring up the objective of following a leader, having a central leadership, a mirror of all the Muslims, or a mirror of a community, but not bringing the community together and we're looking at it as we're one community. Because this was in the reality of the ayah that everybody loved to quote, especially sisters who feel like their husband they gotta put in 50%, or they foot in the bill, or they not getting everything that they supposed to get, like they're risking something. They're taking a risk coming into a marriage where they're not risking anything. They're not risking a thing. You know what I'm saying? And more actually, in reality, they're coming into a marriage. And they benefit more than the husband that they marry actually benefit, because if you look at the secular way, they have a lot to lose. The man, if they get married in the Commonwealth or in the state and get married Islamically, still the man may lose his children, may not see his children because the courts give the ex-wife his children. He lose either half his property or 85% of his property. In the Commonwealth, the man lose 85% of everything. So he may be living out of his car, grinding to try to get back on his feet. On the other hand, the flip side, the system caters to and helps the women. All of the things, the programs that they have set up for women, the men don't get nothing. We got to grind. So in some cases, the man can come out on top in regards to the state, in regards to state and Commonwealth as well. It's only to do the specific situations to where he may come out on top, and the woman may not have anything, or may have just a little bit, but still, because these programs are set up for her, she can still get help and benefit from the system. Now let's resort back to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Like the ayah, most of the sisters, most of us love to quote that the Amir had mentioned in the beginning, Rijalu Qawmin ala Nisa, right? That the men are the maintainers and protectors of the women. However, the tafsir is talking about man has responsibility for the women. But in this meaning, the explanation is talking about plural, not singular. Not singular. Who, you know what I'm saying? When the problems happen in the community, who does the shoulders fall on? It falls on the leader of the community, if there is an Amir. But in society, the men are not the leaders of the society. The women are. The women are the leaders of the society. You know what I'm saying? The women, they say that they're the most educated. Yeah, however, a woman has to be educated to make more money. However, she's gonna make more money in the fields and the jobs that she would take. She's not gonna become a plumber. She's not gonna become a technician. She's not gonna become a laborer. See, a man can go out and he can do general labor and they make good money. $20, $25 an hour, $30 an hour, $40 an hour. A woman is not going to do that type of work. You may see 22% of women in an apprenticeship program to be an electrician, to be a plumber, to be a bricklayer, to be a carpenter.
Hey,
These
Mom,
are the
I seen women working on garbage trucks in Philly,
yeah,
bro. I
well,
don't know.
yeah, but it's still.
I seen them working for the water department with the jackhammer.
Or 3% percentage. It's not a 50% of women
but it's on the rise.
That's delivering no garbage. It's not a 50% of women that are electricians. It's not a 50% of women that are plumbers or bricklayers or iron workers. These skills and these jobs, these skills is what they used to have in the high schools when I was in high school. I ain't gonna say what year, but I graduated graduated in 89. I mean, so they, you know what I'm saying, from when
Back
I
in
was,
1983.
they took these skill sets out of the high school. They had even, and I'm from Chicago, they had even taken home ec out of the high schools. You follow me? And then later on in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, they put them back in the high schools, but you had to go to a specific type of high school to be able to get that skill setting. Right? So you look at what is a man supposed to maintain and protect? One, the men, meaning communal. You have the leader of the community, the Amir. You have the Wakil. You have the fathers. You know what I'm saying? Among the companions, they married women purposely that had children. They had many children. Why? Because no child is supposed to be left an orphan. It was honorable to marry women with children. Look at the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he came to propose to Salama. I love this story because in this story, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was teaching the Sahaba a dua, and Abu Salama went and taught the same dua to Salama, right? When Abu Salama, when he died, she said the dua, and then she said, what good will come after? A rhetorical question. What good will come after Abu Salama? 4 months later, the Prophet ﷺ knocked at her door. She said, wait a minute. She said, who is it? She said, Rasulullah ﷺ. She said, wait a minute. She went and made ghusl, put on her best dress, sweet smelling perfume that she know that he liked. You know what I mean? From reports from Abu Salama, right? She come and everything that he brought, she was trying to step away from it. He said, well, you know, I want to make, she said, look, I'm a very jealous woman and you have a lot of wives. And the Prophet ﷺ made dua for her. He said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove from you that which makes you jealous, right? She said, well, I have a lot of children. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, your children are my children. You know what I'm saying? Then she said, well, I'm an old woman. He said, look, I'm an old man. I'm an old man. And what did she do? When the Rasulullah ﷺ got to the point where he wanted to divorce her, she didn't want him to divorce her. She gave her nights to Aisha anha. So you look at what is a man supposed to provide? A man is a natural provider, protector, and a problem solver. But we're not marrying women that want our problem solving and our protection. The protection that they want a guard dog. They want an attack dog. They want only the material provision. They don't want the provision of his leadership. They don't want to obey him. They don't want to obey him. They don't want to obey their husband. They don't want to listen. They got it all figured out. You know what I'm saying? They taking their masculine role, like, man, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? This bill is due. You know what I'm saying? What are we gonna do? What you're gonna do is stay in your lane because that's not your lane, that's my lane. I'm gonna take care of that. You know what I'm saying? The man gonna naturally figure out what he's gonna do to take care of this problem, which is problem solving. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna protect her from her own chaos, the way that he protects his children from their own chaos. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, some of your wives and your children are open enemies to you, so beware of them. Women and children come with chaos. But in the tafsir to that ayat, Allah, you know what I'm saying, is talking about that they would deter you from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your responsibility that you are placed on by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to support and protect them. And going to the masjid, you know what I'm saying, fulfilling the obligations of the communal obligations of being of joining the congregational salah. But the women want the procreation. They want them babies. They want that. They want that sex. You
So
follow
they
me?
want the babies or the sex? Because
They
a lot
want
of
both.
women a lot of women starting to get tubes tied, clipped, burnt. They like,
They
I ain't
get
doing it.
Yeah, what I just said. A
But
lot of
also
women are
too,
getting that. Remember,
but
I
also
said that.
too, but
Yeah.
also too, I want to say, no, but also too, because no, I'm about to get all up in you. First of all, number two, about the whole thing about, you know, women this and women that. But also too, it has been said that men are going to become like women and women are going to become like men. Some of these men are women. I'm sorry. They pay no bills. They checking for their wife's check. They're asking for them to buy them new clothes and new sneakers and all that kind of, and they have no responsibilities. My ex-husband right now, living with his wife, pay no bills, pay none.
I'm out of here.
No, ain't no you out of here nothing. No, because these men are women. These men are
No,
women.
don't run out. Don't run out.
Don't run
Don't
out.
you run, Aki.
These men are women. They putting on skirts.
Oh,
They putting on skirts. Women are scared that they really want to down low. And I think the problem though that we're having so much so when it comes to us building a community and stuff like that, women need to check women and men need to check men. We keep trying to check each other like we know what the other person is dealing with, and we don't. Yes, Habibi. Yes, we're gonna finish watching Home Alone. I got you, my baby. Okay, my baby. I got you. I ain't forget about you. But you know, this Imam right here, you know, we ain't doing that. You ain't gonna try to destroy a woman like that. When we all know that you will ask a man, they're like, oh, she disobedient. She don't do this. She don't do that. You know, she always talking back. Well, because when I walked in the house, she was on the couch all day. Some people ain't 50-50. Some is just 100-0.
You know some women like that. You know some women like that will buy the husband a PlayStation 5 or Xbox, new Xbox, and be catering to him when she come home just because he giving her the shilling-a-ling.
Hey,
And that's the most craziest thing.
You know that you know
women.
if we're gonna speak, hold on, if we're gonna speak, right? Like I'm not, I'm playing devil's advocate with everybody, right? Because I'm in the trenches, man. I'm in the trenches where stuff get vicious, right? When stuff get vicious.
Y'all campaign everybody together.
No,
Right.
I agree.
The problem that I see, right? The problem that I see is nothing wrong, right? With catering to your man. Just say, right? I'm gonna give an example, right? Say if a woman is well off, right? Is well off, makes $300,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
She wants something to be halal, right? She wants something to be halal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can I ask you this? Just say if you make $300,000 a year, would a woman put her husband in position where he could make money just like her?
In this day and time, I would not marry someone who makes less than me, and not because.
No, hold on.
No, I'm about to tell you why. I'm about to tell you why I wouldn't. No, I'm about to tell you why. No, wait a minute. I wouldn't. Listen,
It's getting heated.
I'm about to tell you why.
Getting hot.
No, can I tell you why?
Can
I tell you why?
We're gonna hear you out.
Thank you.
Hear you
The
out.
reason why I wouldn't do it is because I've had, first of all, mostly, not all of them, probably like one or two, mostly every man that I've ever married, I've made more money than, mostly all of them. And it always turned into you think that, you don't need me because, and then it became like a competition in a marriage that was weird. I'm like, I don't bring up what I've done stuff where one time one of my husband had all these tickets, like $1,500 in tickets. I went and paid for them, and he just was like, "Oh well," and it was just like the lackadaisical attitude. And so, at this point in my life, I would not, because I would not.
But that wasn't the question. The question was,
I'm telling you what I wouldn't do.
I'm gonna ask you this, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you this. When you was married to the good brother, we know who the good brother was. And you made the statement. You said that
you wouldn't have to say his name.
He was grinding for you to get, for you to get what you needed to get to. So the question is,
And he made
if
more
you
money
got-
than me. And he made more money than me. And guess what? And guess what? I used to
Hold
watch
on, you
his
gotta let me
feet.
talk.
Red flag, red flag.
He
Fire on the field. Fire on the field.
I took every
Fire on the field. Fire on the field. Red flag. Throw the flags in.
Hold on.
Now
The
what?
question is-
Throw the
hold on,
flags
hold
in.
on.
Looking for the brother
The
real
question
quick.
is all right,
Move
let me go
on,
back.
move on.
Let me go back to what I was saying. Because I don't want it to make it. I'm not attacking. You know, I love you for the sake of Allah. You know,
I know you
I'm a
too.
bitter, right?
No, I'm not.
So,
I'm not
so the
upset.
kids though, what I'm trying to say is empowerment with our people, right? That a lot of times when men got the bag, we make sure everybody in our circle is lined up. If I got 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, and I got a friend right here, I got a wife right here, I'm gonna make sure everybody around me is put in position. That my man can make 10,000, my mother man can make 10,000, my wife can make 20,000. That's what we do when we got the bag. Nowadays, when our women got the bag, they hold the bag. They ain't putting power in the black man when a man ain't in position. They kick us while we are down. I'm being real with you. They kicking us while we are down. She making this much, she throwing it in his face. But when a man got the bag, anybody right here know what I'm saying if you came from the trenches. When a man got the bag, the man line up everybody in his circle so everybody can be on his level. Our women, just say, oh, bro, if my wife was making 300,000, I want my wife to make some money. Make the money, get some money. But if you got some money, I'm like, babe, I got a venture. We could partner up. I'll even make you contractually bonded. That if I make this much, you invest this much. A woman would say, honestly, no. A lot of women would say no. She won't line her man up. If you think about the Khadijah, she put the Prophet in position.
And what did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did?
Hold on.
Because these ninjas, they'll take your money and walk out the door. The last man, the next man.
Hold on, but that's what we're trying to say. Imam Khalil said in the beginning of the joint, he said, I don't want to hear about what brother Falan did. He ain't me.
And that's why men need to check men.
Right, he ain't me. So that's why men need to check men. Each other. But the thing is, though, that we're kicking each other. I'm talking about we, right?
No, men
we as a people, we're kicking each other. We're kicking each other while we are down. None of us is putting us back in position. Like, I'll give you another example, right? We had a phone call, right? We was all on the phone call. The whole squad was on the phone call. I told somebody, yeah, I got a business, but I need so-and-so amount of money to play. They remember this. The brother's telling me, no, you need to go do that. I said, no, bro, I need this much to play. I'm already in the game. If I get this much money, I can play the game even more. Either you're going to help or you're not. The thing is, though, we chastise each other instead of lining each other up. We're in a culture now where we have this, look what I'm doing, I'm better than you. All of us is doing it. Our women are doing it, the men is doing it. We got to get back to empowering each other, putting each other in position and not being scared to take an L. I took L's. Everybody on the phone took L's before. That come with life. We're going to take L's. We're going to fall. We got to get back up. We got to bounce back up. But the problem is, though, is that people are so scared of what the last person did that everybody's getting punished for it, from the men to the women. That's why I asked you that, if you got it, would you empower somebody?
I want to add something to what you're saying, Sully. It's because it's an experience that I had with life. And, it was at the time I was going through a divorce, and I kept asking myself, I'm like, yo, what is it that I'm not doing right? And so I looked at it, I said, well, what kind of women did the Prophet ﷺ marry? I looked at it. All of them were different, but they shared all similar characteristics. One of the characteristics that always stood out was that they were women of generosity, right? Now, the thing is this. I'll say this. We can't expect, everybody to think like that. Because some people, when they finally get themselves out, they kind of like look back at everybody else like, I don't know what your problem is. Don't think I'm gonna help you out. I had to do this myself, so you can figure it out yourself. And when you married to that kind of person, you can get that from a conversation, right? You can actually get that from a conversation, or you can, kind of like create scenarios and see, well, look, you know what? I need such and such, like one time, my ex-wife, when we was in the courting stage, I was in school and I had needed $300 for books, and I ain't had no money coming for like a couple weeks, and I was sitting there trying to figure it out, And this was around that time I figured out those qualities, but I wasn't gonna go around, you know, like, but I wanted to see, yo, you a person that gives sadaqah, like, you know, you look out for other people, like, you understand what I'm saying? I look for that hand of generosity, because every last one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ had that, you know, had that characteristic. Even the women in his family. Think about it. When he died, right? How did they figure out the first woman that was going to follow behind the Prophet ﷺ? What did he say? The one who has the longest what? The longest hand, right? Meaning the one who gave sadaqah and generosity. And the first woman that died behind him was who? Fatima, right? Died right after the Prophet ﷺ. So, you know, there's certain characteristics you have to look at. And for us, our, you know, basically like our rule of thumb, or, you know, our outline, whatever you want to call it, is we have to extract these characteristics, right? Sometimes we look at the book, the Sunnah, and we look at it and we only see the surface, right? And how you know you're a surface Muslim? When you're angry, you know, and you're hostile with it. Allah said the man is responsible. You're responsible, brother. You know, that's not going to solve a problem. That's just only going to escalate the issue that's already going on. But how do you know you're a person of tafakkur, a person of reflection? You know, not only do you understand that, okay, this is my responsibility, right? Or, you know, we see these situations and you extract from that learning points of learning, or teaching points from that, where you're able to build, mold the person and move forward, right? This is what the imam does. And every man is an imam within his household. So you have to have the, you know, certain qualities, but not every man is going to have that. That's why you go to people, you know, seek counsel from other people, because some people have that insight that can help you with that. But the problem is with today's problem is that, you know, we all gripping, right? We are all gripping. And we're trying to get out of that situation. And some people get ahead and like, look, I ain't gonna look back. Now, I do say in defense to some women that kind of like, look at some dudes, you know, they kind of like got that, you know, the jokes everybody always make about tax time. Oh, she gave him his tax money so he could flip it. This dude don't do nothing with it. He burn it up. And you got some brothers that's like that. They don't have no hustle in them. They have no hustle in them whatsoever. And so therefore, it's still the same situation. So some people, well, by default, they're just natural complainers, right? Just naturally. Another thing you'll learn, you know, from the deen, is that there is a characteristic amongst women. Women, when they read this narration, they should learn that I don't want to have that quality, right? And when men read this narration, you should learn, like, okay, you know, I know that some women, you know, have this type of behavior, have this certain quality with them. So you'll learn how to maneuver. Either you won't approach the person for marriage, or when you see this quality, you'll know that this is something that I may have to overlook, or I may have to be able to teach her, right? Because sometimes, you know, we don't even teach properly. We just kind of like to start barking, and you going against the sunnah. And we're like, how? You can't even articulate how she's going against the sunnah. But you're supposed to expect her to do it. You know, I remember that era. Here, read the book. Listen to this lecture. No dialogue, no nothing. Because the conversation, you understand what the person gets out of the information that they're learning by having a dialogue with them. Yo, what you learn about this? What? Oh, such and such. Sometimes they'll bring out a point that you missed, right? This is how families thrive together. It reminds me back to a lecture that I used to listen to by Malcolm, where Malcolm was lecturing the women. He said, you need to, it's like, sister, you need to have something other than television talk. You know, don't nobody want to talk about Johnny's little shoes. You know, you need to learn about Yaqub, the big head scientist or something. Won't you read about the news? Won't you learn your lessons, study your lessons, learn about Allah, right? The thing is, there's no conversation, there's no dialogue stimulated, right? And some of it is attributed to men's lack of participation in learning now, right? Because there's conversation you can get from women that you can have a conversation with women. They have a more in-depth understanding on certain things than men do. And you talk to men, they just get this grunt get an attitude, right? So therefore, you already see that there's signs. That's where a clash is going to be. But back to my case in point, I'm gonna wrap it up. Is that you have to look for certain characteristics and make it. You're not gonna find a page where you rip that page out of Bukhari and say, this is my woman right here. She just like this right here, right? But there are characteristics she's gonna have, right? There's characteristics she's gonna have You're like, okay, these are those characteristics. Now, one thing you got to know, if you've been around, if we come from that background, from the trenches and all that, then some people got what I call the dusty nigga syndrome, right? He's just dusty, like, yo, everything mine. I work hard for this, and you ain't getting it. You just hating on me. And sometimes we go into marriage already like that. We already go in there like that. And truthfully, we like, yo, there's a gender war. That gender war been happening ever since you lost your first love of your life, right? Women hate when she get done dirty by that guy. She hate that guy for the rest of her life, and all them other guys just like that. And the first time you get your heart broke by one woman, you hate all women like that. I understand that, but life moves on, right? Life moves on, but we still living in the past. We gotta move on. I know, people like encouraging people, yo, you gotta address your trauma, blah 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 blah. This is what I say you need to address. If you're a pervert, you a freak boy, meaning you ain't got no limits, you need to straighten that out before you even approach anybody, right? Because you got a problem, right? Say you got a problem with touching a little girl. Dude, you got to handle that. You need to handle that ahead of time. But if Sally broke my heart in 9th grade, I'm sorry, man. Sally going, she ain't even thinking about you. She with the new guy. You know what I'm saying? She's not thinking about you. And sometimes we got to let that go. We walking around all bent up. I got my heart broken. A girl looked at me, told me, what another dude? I always love you, baby. What? You walking up with screams, right? But you get tightened up. You got to move on. The problem is we're not here forever. And this is a sign of that. We cling heavy to this earth, to this dunya, like we're going to be living here forever. We treat each other as if the Qiyamah's not coming, as if that breath, every time your eye blink, is a blinking of the eye towards your demise, towards your ending. We forget about that. So we mistreat each other and treat each other any old type of way and think that having this war, what do I look like almost 50 years old, arguing back and forth about who make more money? That's a young man's sport. That's a poor man game. You gotta elevate. You gotta learn the art of big time. And there's some things that you'd be like, man, that's beneath me. Shorty, I'm not about to argue with you about a bill. I pay bills. If the light bill, if I get a notice, I'll get that bread up. Just chill. We're not gonna see
you wanna argue. I ain't gonna argue with you.
I ain't arguing with you, straight up.
But
you gotta elevate past some stuff.
No, but
some stuff we hang around. We circling the drain. And then we walk around, and then on top of that, we already got low self-esteem, a lot of us. And then these issues come up, we just get lower. That's what I'm telling you. A lot of our problem is, the solution for it is, we need to abandon pessimism. You didn't find the Sahabas walking around pessimistic. Oh my God, I left Mecca and I left all my goods. No, they went to Medina like, yo, we're going to make this bread. Show me where the marketplace is. I know Allah got me. We don't move as if we got the favor of Allah with us. We move as if the favor of Allah is with everybody else but us. We gotta move. You gotta order big time. You gotta make elevation. Make small little goals. Yo, okay, this, that. If y'all in a situation where all y'all do is argue about who gonna make money, who not gonna make money, the Prophet ﷺ said that the majority of the fire was because of the women, that they were complaining, saying that their husband didn't do this and do that. Not all the time are those complaints are valid. Not all of them. Some of them are valid, but and it's so bad because have you ever went into, and I'm asking the brothers this, matter of fact, the sister too. You ever went into and had to sit down with someone, you sitting down for an interview for marriage, and you feel like you dealing with a Facebook set. Do you work? Let me see your pay stubs. First of all,
a Facebook what? A Facebook what?
It feels like you're dealing with a Facebook stat. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, somebody asked me for pay stubs. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's a dead end.
5K.
I'm not saying that what I make. I'm gonna tell you why. Sheikh Abdullah, he said, what was the name of that book? Adabul Ma'ashara. He said, never inform your wife and children of how much money you have. If you have too much money, she'll always expect you to give it. Right? They will. He said that. And if you don't have it, she might lose respect for you. I'm not coming in with a pay stub. I'm not talking no numbers with you. I'm asking you, yo, what's the logistics? What do I got to pay for? Now, I got to sit there and calculate. I can't afford that. I'm sorry, sis. I'm going to have to tap out. Right?
Yeah.
You can waste your time. You can stop. You can save everybody the time and the problem. I ain't got that. I'm out. You see what I'm saying? It's just that simple. It's not a bad thing. To be honest, yo, I ain't got it. But people like to make mockery and make jokes like, yo, he couldn't even afford 2 bands. Man, 2 bands is a lot for some people.
I tell them, nope, I ain't got it.
It's a lot
I ain't
for
got
some
it.
people. You know what I mean? And of course, if I'm making $4,000 or $5,000, you know, every 2 weeks on a check, 2 bands ain't nothing to me. But yo, I might be only making $1,000 per check. I'm out my league, shorty. I got to, maybe I'll hook you up with the brother that he played ball with the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't got that. I can't
offering
do it.
what I got.
No, but you know what? No, but Khalil, this is, you know what was so sad
What
is
I got.
you said something really important is that people need to start paying attention to behaviors. I feel like that I have avoided a lot of situations just by paying attention to behaviors. I really don't care about how much money people make. I don't ask. I'm never like how much you make. I don't see the point in asking how much you make. Because if you want to pay something, you're gonna say that. Like what somebody told me, a wise person told me, like, let people do what they want to do, because then they'll show you what they'd rather be doing. Okay? And I've had, within 24 hours, asking to borrow money, asking about what I'm like in bed. And I'm just like, no, this ain't gonna work. So it's just, but what I don't do is make them feel bad for it. I just be like, whatever, like that's just kilo. I'm not interested. And I think that people need to start doing it, because what they do is like they'll with you, the signs that you see in the beginning that you don't like is usually the signs that's going to break you up at the end. And I've been through over and over and over again.
A sister be at a sit down, and she having a sit down, and she know the brother she having to sit down with is an F-19, but she'll still accept whatever it is that he offer, and she marry him, and she end up footing the bill. One thing I always learned in my little 50-some years of life is that don't ever ask a woman to help you with nothing at all. If she gonna help you, she gonna get in the grind with you. You know what I'm saying? I remember
I don't know about that.
No, because they do. That's part of Dusty Nigga joint where they keep reminding you what they did for you. I helped you when you ain't had no. You know what?
Man, I bought you some shoes. I paid this bill right here. You ain't paid me back. No, I ain't trying to hear that. If you ain't never have to trunk nobody for no bread, don't tell me about no money.
That's
if you
facts.
ain't
that's the thing I'm trying to say.
Tell their family to get some ransom money. Don't argue with me. Don't talk to me about no bread, about what problems we're having with money. Because
that's a whole nother perspective when you talking about money with some brothers that's Muslim. Like, exactly. We had to tie people up. We tie people up for money. Now you better chill.
I remember when this live was talking about 5K diary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just in the way that they was talking is that this should just be a standard offer or a standard request, right? You know what I'm saying? And wasn't trying to hit nobody's position on the standard that they set. Now for example. You know what I'm saying? I asked the question, have any of y'all ever paid 5K for a dowry or more? One said plenty of times. Okay, whatever. However, yeah, did you offer that though? Did you offer it? And
they gonna write his number in the girl's bathroom.
Who did you give it to? Now the thing is, now I'm going to what my standard is. Yeah, I paid more than 5K for a dowry at one time, but guess what I got? I got 11 years of her adding to my grind. You know what I'm saying? Right now at this moment, my children is in the condo I bought 14 years ago. You know what I'm saying? 14 years ago, them and their mother and their auntie and their cousins is in that condo in Ethiopia right now. You know what I'm saying? That I bought 14 years ago when her and I was married, and 11 of them years. You follow what I'm saying? When I brought her here after I got tired of spending stacks, going back and forth every 6 months, staying there 6 months, coming here 6 months, doing shows, grinding. brought her here. What did she do? She came over here and put her boots on the ground and helped me with this grind. What, in the house first and then out doing these shows. I'm at one match here, she at the next. You follow what I'm saying? Making food here, making food there, selling oils here, selling oils there. You know what I'm saying? Selling clothes. You follow what I'm saying? I'll go out on the road, be gone 4 days, make 15 stacks, come back home, I'm paying bills, and I'm adding up for the next show. You know what I'm saying? So can't nobody tell me that, and can't nobody tell me that there's no responsibility. That's what's gonna that you offering that or giving that is gonna prove that you're responsible.
But
You
know,
a bum can give someone $5,000 as a dowry. After that, y'all still got bills. He's a bum. He ain't.
The problem is
grind and no hustle in him. You know what I'm saying? You follow me?
This whole mentality
and when he get fed up and she want a divorce, he gonna be looking for that $5K back.
This is the thing, right? The mentality that the dowry is going to secure that people are going to stay together. This is a dunyawi mentality. This doesn't have nothing to do with Islam. If you look at some of the dowries, the mahars that was mentioned with some of the companions that can afford it, they used to give 10 and 20 camels, right? Now, of course, we ain't got no camels, but giving camels was equivalent to like buying somebody a $50,000 car. You gave 10 of them joints, right? They wasn't crying about it, and it wasn't like the woman wasn't like, I require 10 camels because of my worth, brother. That's what I'm worth. That's a pimp hoe mentality. Excuse the expression, but that's the reality, right? Not the dowry and asking or requesting, or so on and so forth, but the mentality, the niyyah behind it. You're gonna treat me for what I'm worth, and I'm a very valuable, respectable woman, and you want a respectable woman. Like I was reading the stat that the brother he was giving. I think it was a hypothetical joint because he be writing them Dear Sally type joints, right? Dear Sally, I'm a Palestinian woman, and I want to marry this Black American brother, and I told him that my mahar. This is a real stat that somebody wrote, but I think it's one of them Dear Sally joints, and I told him I want 80K, right? Because I'm Palestinian. Now the thing is, this is what I didn't like, right? What I took it as, you was popping shots, but it might not have been popping shots. She says, I don't have no kids. I don't have no baby daddy drama. I don't have different fathers for children because I don't have children. I read Quran, I do this, but he couldn't give me 80,000. And so he talked to my father. I think the number was something like the brother said he could afford 12. Right now, hold on. Now, me. With the Maliki in me, so I'm like, damn, he gave all that up front. No, she was talking about a payment plan. It was basically like buying a car off the lot. You put $5,000 down, and your car payments would be $500 a month, right? So I was just sitting back laughing. So he was like, basically like, look, I can give you 12. She was like, my father laughed at that. I'm not giving this, that, and the third. So I was like, damn, like it just. I mean, and don't get me wrong. It's a marriage is a contract. It's a contractual, right? It almost has the same approach as business, right? But damn, like really, like this is really what we're reducing ourselves to now, right? And that's what's happening. So when you start throwing out numbers, right? And when you're saying these numbers, you're throwing out numbers to a vast majority of people. This ain't like the Sims. Where people walking around like they got like 5,000 Seminoles hanging over their head, like and so you're throwing out there, you're saying, this is a crackhead dowry, the only bums are asked for this much, or and so on and so forth. Hold on one second.
Well, I'm raising my dowry. It's gonna be 10 stacks now. I'm just kidding.
But these things, these things are playing part in the mentality, and it's fueling already. The more we fight, the more we lose ground, because what happens? There's a plethora of people that aren't even approaching relationships, right? The content or the engagement of fornication and adultery ain't budging. It ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, you got most people, they all butthurt and talking about how they need to cure all this trauma, but all of them got boyfriends and girlfriends. Where's the wisdom in that? That has nothing to do with the sunnah. The more we apply the sunnah, the better your situation to get, right? You'll start to be able to make your situation better. But the more we avoid it, the more trauma and hurt we bring on. As Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, they forgot Allah, so Allah caused them to forget themselves. When you forget yourself, you're forgetting more. You're hurting yourself. You're forgetting that you got to die, right? And Allah is increasing you in that thing that you think you can't get over. Then the other problem is that we have this God complex. We think that if we raise the standards of the dowry, this is going to change the outcome. Allah's going to test you by means of loss. You don't know where your iman is at until you're hit with an affliction. That's where you know where you stand at. You know whether you A1, you grade A, or you just like F grade, or what you call them F19. You're F19. You see what I'm saying? You won't know until that affliction hits. But we can play that God complex. Oh, I know my rights because if I do this and I do that and I do this and this, that, and the third happen, and guess what? And you still end up with it.
But Imam Khalil, how many guys, right, when they got money, they play like they got money, right? They know that money could buy them out of any situation, right? They know they could buy. So if I know I could give you this and this shut you up, I could do whatever I want. Here, take 2,000. Go ahead, go do what you do. I'm sorry. Go buy yourself a Gucci bag.
That comes with
go
that.
buy your Prada bag. Go buy your
right.
Fendi bag. I'm sorry. Here, go get some Gucci shoes. Like we forget all about this in our culture.
Beat your brains out. Yeah, I came in. He bought you a whole cart of bags and flowers and everything. You don't care because you sold your soul.
Hey, look,
your soul. So we forget about our culture. That money, you play like you got money when you got money. You know what I mean? We forget about that in our culture.
That dusty syndrome, that dusty Negro syndrome.
I'm gonna knock off King. I'll call Sue in China, send me some Fendi, send me some Gucci, send me some Prada. You know what I'm saying? It's straight knockoff. You know what I mean? So I ain't paying no real price for nothing.
Hey, yo, Malik, why don't you address this joint right here? This is a good one. City Nasir.
What's even worse is Muslim boyfriends and girlfriends. I've heard sisters say they entered a relationship with another Muslim brother in hopes that it would develop into marriage eventually, but most of the time it was just the same old toxic relationship that ended in children, no marriage, and misguided homes with no men in the picture. I mean, basically, that's a recipe for disaster in itself. There's no boyfriend and girlfriend in Islam, so how can you go into it with that mind state, I'm gonna make it a boyfriend. Allah's not gonna bless it. Allah's not gonna bless it. So I mean, we got to be real with ourselves, because one thing, like Sully just said, a brother could be lying. He could be lying. Oh, I got the bag, I got paper. So we got to stop buying into these fantasies. A lot of times sisters buy into this fantasy with the brother painting them. The brother buy into this fantasy with his sister painting them. Next thing you know is, we're going to get married though. Like, we got to be real. Shaitan is always in the equation. He's never absent. Shaitan, Allah said that Shaitan, he sees you from a place where we can't see him. Shaitan, when he was kicked out of Jannah, he asked Allah for respite. Imagine this. And like I always go, the Quran is a reference for me, alhamdulillah. Our father Adam, alayhi salam, he slipped, right? He slipped and he made the sin of going near the tree that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him and his wife to stay away from. And the first thing that he did what? He made Tawbah. He asked Allah to forgive him. Look at how wicked Shaitan was. Shaitan, he didn't ask for forgiveness. He asked for respite. He said, grant me pardon. Grant me pardon until the day that they're raised up. He ain't have it in him and say, look, Allah forgive me. And he said, Lord, give me pardon. To the day that they're raised up, just grant me pardon. Let me get at him. He said, I'm going to come at him from every which way, from right, from left. And he said, you're going to see that most of them aren't grateful. So we're proving Shaitan correct when we're ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how can we think something like that is going to be blessed when we go into and we fraud ourselves? I'm going to marry the sister, but I'm going to go over the crib tonight. We're going to chill, Next thing you know, we in the master, like me and Amir Khalil always say to Jimmy Swagger.
But we treat marriage like it's a boyfriend and girlfriend.
Hold on. I want to adjust this one comment. Look at this one comment.
Yeah, we do.
I can't stand you. I need to pull up.
This joint is real. I'm gonna show it right here. Boom. Right.
I said that too.
This seems to be an issue that comes down due to lack of knowledge of fiqh, right? Okay, boom. Now follow me. Now watch my reply. I'm not looking for controversy. No, not taken that way. Should one follow a madhab and not be standard for blacks in the U.S.? Okay, now here's a loaded thing. Most of the shenanigans that goes on amongst Muslims in the U.S. is they play with the knowledge. Knowledge is fit if you're not applying it and you don't have that basic fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it ain't gonna do you nothing. The whole concept of the child of the bed was a way for dudes to slick in a slick manner, use the deen to say, I must lay down with whatever woman and whatever baby you have that we have out of wedlock, they ain't my child anyway. This is a fiqh issue. It's a fiqh issue, right?
Mahmoud.
Dudes have the what's the other joint? The what do you call it? The you don't need a wali. That's a fifth issue, right? Oh, we could defer the dowry. That's a fifth issue. Do the witnesses have to be present, or can you tell them before the marriage is consummated? That's a fifth issue. If you put all those issues together, I could just declare a woman to be my wife. Be my wife, baby. I'll give you a dowry later when we get a chance. And let me call a couple of brothers and tell them real quick. Hey, yo, yeah, you about to get ready to go in the house real quick. I just wanted to tell you that Sister Fulana, that's my Zawj now, and I'm gonna highlight y'all later. All right, right? This is all a fiqh issue. Now, I'm not saying that fiqh is the problem. The problem is the corrupt individuals, and you got them slick silver-tongued guys. You know what the problem is? In reality, is the amarit. There's no amarit. There's no accountability. There's no accountability. When men are be able to be held accountable, and women are able to be held accountable, they don't like some people don't like that. And so because you live like in a city where there's a plethora of massages, what happened? You mashed it hot. You like, yo, I ain't going over there, man. They told me I've been divorced, 3 times, and I know I said that one out of anger. I'm just gonna keep going around to every masjid until I find somebody to agree with. Mm-hmm. Right?
How about the abandonment one? Yeah, he, I ain't speak to him in 3 months. You so already know. I gotta wait one more month. When you have
accountability and you have a leader that's on your top. Yo, what y'all still doing together? I thought we already settled that issue. That's just like, oh snap. You see me? You see what I'm saying?
You know why, Amir Khalil?
No accountability.
You know why? Because just like Zafira says, that many of our marriages are like we're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Exactly.
However,
hold up. You remember back in the day? You ain't got no wali other than me. I'm your wali now, girl. Right? I don't want to go into the masjid no more.
Actually have
all the men in there.
The overnight shift. And I love you guys. Peace and beauty, like. I'm about to clock into my job and go to sleep.
Oh wow!
It sound like us at work. So all right, inshallah. So we gonna wrap it up. Yo, y'all got any closing statements or comments?
From what I'm saying about from what I've seen here, so I've met so many Muslims. They got children. They got children out of wedlock. They've been married before, but all of their children that's out of wedlock is by a Muslim brother. Because your boyfriend was Muslim don't mean that y'all was married. It's not permissible. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that y'all was left with is that y'all was left with going behind whoever your wakil is, and him not being connected to a community, and y'all got these children. But y'all never got married after that. You know what I mean? So the problem ain't having a boyfriend girlfriend. The problem is that y'all dudes ain't trying to feel Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what I mean? The dean doesn't. I remember one of my old heads. He said, Aki, you really think these people give a D about Islam? They don't care about no Islam, man. You know what I'm saying? You're talking to people. Like you're talking to people and dealing with people like they have the same type of zeal about the deen that you do.
You know what? I'm gonna add to that though, because a lot of also the other thing too that does play part in this, and I didn't ever answer the brother's question. Yes, one should follow madhab, but the thing is that it's not just following the madhab as an individual, but you also need to have your community that you part of, that where you go and the qadi, or the amir or the imam, he's acting as the magistrate and he deals with that situation with his accountability. There's accountability, there's a record, record of divorce, marriage, the witnesses, so on and so forth. So yes, that absolutely, and that's done by that person, by that person who's in charge as the imam or the amir, whatever the case is. The other thing is that some of these incidences that we're talking about, and I can tell you for the ones that I can account for, a lot of people don't belong to a Jamaat. They don't belong to a Jamaat. It's very common in Philly. You had two strangers come in, and most people are like, man, turn them away. I think you're doing more damage when you turn them away, right? They'll come in the masjid, like, look, Sheikh, we need to get married, man. We've been living in sin for 20 years. I want to get my life right? Some people actually turn their life around from that moment on. Some people, they just play with it, right? But a lot of people aren't connected to a Jamaat. They're not. And so they can't, sometimes they can't get adjusted. The brother can't get justice. The sister can't get justice. And the outcome, they don't even believe that Allah Ta'ala's deen is just, right? They'll do things. How common is it today where you'll find a brother and sister in a relationship, in a marriage, and a woman and say, yo, I'm going to apostate so you'll let me go? You see what I'm saying? When does apostasy become an option of a marriage that may not work, that may or may not work, or maybe a little counseling can fix it, or whatever the case is? They just straight up, I'm apostate. I'm just gonna leave the deen, right? It's too common. It's too common. So this issue is complex. But the only thing you're gonna need is the family has to be part of a community where there's some sort of accountability, because no one is above the law. No one's above the law. And a lot of this has happened, happening for that. But as far as the culture, and this is where I'm going to end that, because we almost getting close to our 2-hour mark. So, let everybody make their closing remarks and comments and stuff. And this is where I'm about to tap out. The solution to a lot of the stuff that we talked about today is that the deen, Islam, has to be paramount in your life. Your flaws, we can't just say, well, I'm just a nigga, and and I'm just this, and this is just the way I am, and I'm from such and such. No, you have to make the deen paramount. You have to make it part of your life, inward and outward. It has to be part of your life, and where you fall short, you have to work on to try to change that and stop accepting shortcomings. That's taking accountability, right? Stop passing the buck. Well, I'm only like this because, the one thing I hate in today's society, and a lot of the people dealing with criminal, the criminal aspect of mental health and so on and so forth, that trajectory that they pass off, like if something happened to you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to do it to someone else. People do things according to patterns, right? You got to pay attention to people's patterns, but there is no guarantee that just because I'm a victim of rape, right? A person as a victim of rape, that I'm going to go out and rape everybody else. Or just because I got raped, now I'm going to become a homosexual, right? That's that kind of stuff. It's almost like planting a negative seed in your head, right? You can succumb all of that. There's always hope. Once you're dead and in the ground, now your hope is over with. But as long as you're alive, you should always be looking to change those things, always, right? It's no, I'm an alcoholic for life, I'm a crackhead for life, or I'm a dope fiend. Half of the Muslim ummah in the cities was one time dope fiend or something, right? That ain't your tag for life. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be able to make Islam the standard in our life. That's the only thing that's going to change. Islam changed heathens, right? Think about it. In the U.S. prison systems, they want to wipe Islam out of the prison system. Of course, because it's the truth. But not only that, but it reforms the criminals. It reforms the criminals. It reforms a lot of them. A lot of men come home, being better men when they become Muslim. And once you do that, what happens to the crime rate? Crime rate goes down, right? There's no more criminals. So you gotta create new things. Don't think that the criminal activity that goes on in the world, that the government don't greenlight this stuff, because they actually do, and that's a whole nother discussion in and of itself. But the solution is the deen. I can't emphasize it enough. Deen. Make your character Deen. Try to be like the Prophet ﷺ, Deen. Everything is Deen. Your problems, Deen. Learn to turn to Allah and His Messenger, Deen. Establish a family based on it, Deen. Have time when you read Quran with your family, Deen. Go to classes, learn your Farda Ayn according to one of the 4 schools, Deen. Deen, 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 Deen. And I'm done. Y'all go ahead and close out because we're getting close to the time. So go ahead with y'all closing remarks, inshallah.
All right, I'm gonna go first. All right. So my closing remark is make your mind to think like a Muslim. What do I mean by that? When you're thinking like a Muslim, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has conveyed and revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your life is fashioned after that, not it fashioned after yours. You know what I'm saying? So Islam is your Islam is not a fashion show. Your Islam is not slogans. You know what I'm saying? Every problem and issue that you dealing with in life, Islam has a solution for. If there's anything else that has a solution for the problems to deal with the problems in society, best believe anyone with intelligence will follow that. But there is nothing else other than Islam. So if your thought pattern, your thought pattern, if you have to start with very low, learn what your Hijra birthday is. Learn the Hijra birthday of all your children, and your people, right? Look for the Hilal for every month. Okay. Look at every issue that you face in your life, in home or in business or communal. Look for something in the Sirah to bring about a solution, because everything that we experience, there's something in Islam that addresses it, and that we can always go to it and solve our problem. I remember one time I was told by she's an ex-wife now, that everything that you say, you bring the religion into it, or something from the religion into it, because I'm trying to think like a Muslim. This is what a Muslim does, because Islam is a total upright way of life, not a religion, not just a religion. It has religious principles, but it's a total way of life. So everything in our life, Islam addresses. So the solution to our problems or issues that we're having, this is what we have to resort to. And that's my closing remarks.
And I have to agree with you, because I actually heard someone asked me not too long ago, does Islam address all mental health issues? And I said yes. And they were like, well, this sister from overseas said it doesn't. I said that's not true. I said she just don't know her deen well. Now I do say stuff that's secular for the layman's people, because I can't just but I have yet to find anything that doesn't address mental health issues that's not come from the Quran and Sunnah. I have yet to see anything, like not find anything from it. And but also too, I wanted to add about we have a lot of generational pass-throughs, or historical trauma, and I think we really need to address, because us as African Americans, our stories are not like no other people ever. We were ripped from our homes and displaced everywhere, and we were dehumanized, and it started trickling. A lot of things that wasn't our culture is trickling into today's society that needs to be addressed. And a lot of the problems that we are having is because those things are not being addressed, and they just keep being passed through and passed through. But I tell people every single day you wake up, you know, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can pick, you can be whoever it is that you want to be. You know, we choose to stay in dysfunction. We choose to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And we just got to do something different. Like crack open a book, the Quran and the Sunnah, and you will get it together. Not that you'll be okay, you'll get it together. But it's a slow progress and progression, and you just gotta do the work on yourself and not point the finger at everybody else. And that's my closing remark.
What, Malik?
All right, I had a few things, but you know, for the sake of time, I'll just be brief with them.
Go ahead, brother.
One is Muslims, we got to stop character assassination. We kill each other's character. And a lot of times it's based off somebody that, you know, can't stand this, somebody that's disgruntled with us, a current husband or wife, or, you know, maybe an ex. And a lot of times they're not upright. They're not just people. And the law says, you know, when a wicked person comes with some evidence, verify it. So a lot of times we run off of, you know, off of a kill wakar. He say, she say, and it's not even correct. It's like, you know, and I never had a Christian background, but like it's one gospel song, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can go ahead and blast me, bang me for this. But the boy, he was like, what's the joint? Like, Lord, I won't complain, right? But in the joint he was going on, he said, I've been lied on, I've been talked about, I've been misunderstood, you know what I'm saying? So if you have, I'm pretty sure that picture's been painted in me, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta get to know a person for yourself. One thing I can say about me, and not to get personal, is wallahi, there's no woman out here that can say, oh, I ever, you know, made her pay 100% and I was sitting on the couch. Yeah, even if you did 50-50, I was down at that time. We was paying, you know, half and half. But I've been in marriages where, well, I was paying everything. And I felt like Abu Zar, because after she left me and we was talking sometime, she said, you know, I base any man that I marry now off of the standard of me being with you, because I paid everything. But I had it then. So that's the nature of the dunya. It goes up and it goes down. We're not going to, you know, not get married. I might be grinding, I might be gripping, but I'm gonna come to the table and say, look, I'm broke. I ain't got that much bread. And it's for that woman to say, nah, I'm cool, or to come in. So you can't come in and then the brother told you he ain't had bread. Like, this bum, he told you. We got to be honest with each other. So I'm not the type of person that's going to lie. I'm gonna be transparent and straight up with you. If I got it, I got it. If I don't, I don't. So meanwhile, that person to be disgruntled and they'll paint this picture about, you know, to this problem, he a bum, he did this, or, you know, the sister saying, you know, the brother saying about the sister, she this, she that. But I guarantee you, at one time, oh, he was bae, he was, you know, as big as the stars to me. And that's, you know, that brother, oh, this was my boo, I loved her, but we get disgruntled when we leave these marriages and some stuff go left. And then, you know, we got other people disliking a person off of, you know, things that isn't even true. So we got to stop character assassination, man, straight up. And we got to stop giving bad advice and getting bad advice. One of the things that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in his khutbatul wada, his farewell hajj. This is his final, you know, his last hajj. He only made one hajj, and he addressed over 124,000 companions. He said that, you know, your wives, he said that, you know, the man, he has an authority over the wife, and he has the right that, you know, no one can sit on his bed whom he doesn't approve of. So in modern terms, you can't just let anyone in your house. So you can't let anyone in your house. So we got people, you know, sitting around all day, they giving bad advice, they getting bad advice, and then we wonder why we're in the state we're in. If that person isn't, you know, trying to help you with a solution, all they doing is sitting back bashing and agreeing with you, that's not the person you want to be getting advice with. Because we know about having a bad companion. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, you know, like the good companion is, you know, they rub off on you. So like a person that's in an itter or a shop of musk, he's always in a musk shop. He'll smell good. He'll smell like musk. The person who's in like a smoke shop, that's going to rub off on him. He's going to smell like that. So we got to have good companions, man, and stop giving bad advice and getting bad advice. And the last thing, like I'm disgruntled. Like I said, I don't care no more, man. I'm getting old. You know, we all close to the grave. I don't care no more. I don't want to be politically correct. So a lot of these imams, man, they simping. We got to stop simping, like straight up. It shouldn't be, I heard some of your man say that, as men, we just got to have tough skin. So you can have a wife that's disobedient, you know what I'm saying? She don't do anything you say, but we just got to take it because we men. No, hell no. Divorce is an option. If you can't straighten up, then I can let you go. It's not, haram to divorce. So the man, he's busting his butt all day, and he comes home to a woman that's disobedient, barely give him his rights, but he say, man, you just got to have tough skin. But we think about hadith, like where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we don't like these things. And some of us even probably consider them chauvinistic, but it's the words of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That, he said, had it been permissible for anyone to bow before another person, then I would have ordered a wife to bow before a husband because of the rights, he has over her. Some of the righteous women of the past, they used to say that I won't go to sleep. I won't even go to sleep until you're pleased with me. So these things get swept under the rug, but the brother, he always got to get the short end of the stick. They say happy, happy wife, happy life. No, what about happy spouse, happy house? It goes both ways. So I'm not that, I'm not that, what's the word? I'm not that that flag waver or supporter of, just make sure the wife happy and you miserable. No, so we got a lot of things that we have to reevaluate. And like, Amir Khalil said, like Imam Muhammad said, it always comes back to deen. It comes back to deen. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm not doing this for my spouse. I'm doing this because I want Allah to be pleased with me. So that's what we have to think about. And marry people that you're evenly yoked to. You got to be evenly yoked. You can't be a person who loves knowledge, but you marry a sister who don't even know Ali from Bad, and vice versa. So if just like trying on the shoe might not fit. You might got to take off the shoe and get another shoe. There's nothing wrong with that. One thing I learned, in me being married a few times, like now I have less tolerance. I'll cut you off. And I expect you to cut me off. If I'm coming with some BS and you ain't feeling it, say, look, I want a hula. If
but
you
that's
coming with
that's treating marriage like a boyfriend and girlfriend.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's not like that. You're being honest. Like, why? Okay, so if you went through the proper steps, I'm not just saying just straight divorce because it's methods to divorce. If the woman is in new shoes, you separate the bed. You have an arbitrator from her family, his family. So you go through the steps. But what I'm saying is, don't sit in that marriage for 5 years, 10 years, and y'all both miserable. And now you left the marriage, and you bitter. No, we don't have to. We don't tolerate that. Because at the end of the day, we're going to die. We're going to return to Allah. Don't just be sitting around playing. That's what I'm saying. A lot of times we playing. We just, okay, I'm going to stay in this marriage, but I'm miserable. I'm not happy. Then in turn, I'm talking to this person. She's talking to him. He's talking to her. No, we don't have to sit in that is what I'm saying. So, maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion, Allah knows best, not me.
We just need to be proactive. That's the problem. We're not proactive. We are reactive. It's like, oh, look at her. She got a fat butt, some big boobs, and I'm gonna marry her, and she looks nice. And the next thing you know, you can't stand her, or vice versa. I'm not saying just men, because women do the same thing. Oh, he look nice. He got money. He blah blah blah. Then you find out he's abusive. We need to be more proactive.
Yeah, do your due diligence. Exactly. Do your due diligence. Don't just hop into a marriage because, she looked good or he got paper. No, investigate. Yeah, you're supposed to do that. And a lot of times we don't do that, myself included. We hop in it like, damn, she ain't what I thought. He ain't what I thought. No, you gotta sit down, like you said, that uncomfortability. You gotta sit there and do some soul searching. That's what I'm do some soul searching. If you gotta say to yourself, man, like what was that? I think it was on Lean on Me. Like, he was, man, you ain't no damn good. If you gotta tell yourself you ain't no damn good, then tell yourself you ain't no damn good and try to get yourself right. Like, stop playing. We play too much. And then one more thing I want to say. And I know you might chime in on this, Zafir. Stop, as men, we got to stop letting women, put their viewpoint on what a man is. Because a lot of times,
I agree.
No disrespect to a lot of the women. No disrespect to a lot of the women. A lot of these sisters come from broken homes. They never had a man in their life. Daddy left at 5 years old. So how the hell you going to tell me what a man is and tell me I'm not a man? Like I said, I always refer to movies or songs. And Above the Rim, and Tupac was Birdie, and Leon was his big brother. So, you know, Tupac was shot out here in the streets and all that. And, you know, they was at his mom's grave, and, you know, and Tupac poured a blade out his mouth. Like, and Leon looking like, what's up with you? You ain't a man. Tupac, he said, and you wasn't around because you wasn't around my big brother. You know, if you know about the rim, you know what happened. He said, you might not like the man I became, but I'm a man nonetheless. So I don't care if a sister, a brother, anybody might not like that, what they think of you as a man. You don't know me. You don't know what I go through every day, the struggle of busting my butt, taking care of my children. So that's one thing I learned. Never let anybody throw their view on what they think a man is. Like, you can get out my face with that. Me basing what a man is off me basing what a man is off what Allah and his messenger says, not what some man or some woman thinks. So we got to stop letting people, you know, predicate and throw their views like, you ain't a man or you ain't a woman. And we you know what I'm saying? So, like, go ahead with that. That's how I feel, you know, about that. Allah knows best.
No, I agree with that.
You know, I'm gonna make mine brief. You know, everybody, you know, had the mic for about 30 minutes. I'm gonna make mine brief. I'm gonna get up out of here. Now, like I said, everybody view, you know, how I look at things, man. You know, going back to, you know, the blame game. How I look at it, man. We have to start building, right? We have to start. You know, what the Imam said, that, you know, we have to start going back to Deen. You know, learn the characteristics of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And one of the main things we have to learn how to do as Black people, we have to learn how to love. Right? We have to learn how to love. We have to learn how to build. We don't really love each other how we say we do, right? We focus so much on destruction and destroying that we're not building our communities, right? To the point where, you know, our kids is out here dying in the streets, and they're the inheritors of the masjid. You know, we're going to die soon. We're going to die. All of us going to taste death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, every living soul shall taste death. And the closer, you know, the older we are, the closer we're getting to death. And our kids is out here dying in outrageous numbers. Outrageous numbers. And we're so focused on what somebody got, what somebody bringing to the table, to the point where what really matters we need to bring to the table. What's that family structure? We need families. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. You know, we look back now, like, you know, when I was growing up, I knew everybody on my street. Everybody knew Miss Dale. Everybody knew Mickey. Everybody knew Keisha. So if bad little Rodney did something, we telling Keisha. We telling Mickey. Nowadays, you go outside, you can't even tell your neighbor what their kid did wrong. They out there ready to fight you. They out there ready to kill you. We have to start building. We have to really start building communities. And we got to start, you know, coming together. You know, we got to stop valuing our, you know, our lives off of what somebody has. Right? The Prophet ﷺ spoke about looking at the people that's below you. Right? We got to stop acquiring what somebody has over. Stop making our lives, you know, try to be like Imam Khalil said, that, you know, the basketball wives. We want a baller. We don't care what he out here doing. As long as he bring that bag in, I'm happy. We got to stop that. We got to start building families. We got to start building structures. And no matter who it is, if you got some sort of unity, you got some sort of structure where everybody's safe, everybody's okay, everybody's uplifting each other. Who cares what I say? Who cares what anybody else say? We have to start building families, and we have to start coming together to create families. You know, and I'm done.
Alhamdulillah. One of the good brothers want to make the dua. Did you speak up here? Oh yeah, that's right. You did. That's right. Okay.
Go ahead, Muhammad. Give us that good Sufi dua, Muhammad.
Muhammad the Sufi.
Muhammad
Yeah,
Sufi.
we said Sufi too. That's right.
Sufi
Muhammad Abdullah Sufi pretender.
Inshallah.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهذه إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقداره العظيم. اللهم أهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيما توليت وبارك لنا فيمن أعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من عديت. تبارك ربنا وتعاليك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وصلى الله على نبي كريم. اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات ومسلمين ومسلمات وعلف بين في قلوبهم وعسل ذات بينهم وانصرهم على أدورك وأدورهم. اللهم قتل كفرة ولا يدين يجدون عيادتك ويكاذبون رسولك ويصدون عن سبيلك ويقاتلون أولياءك. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين والحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وقاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقدار العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone have a blessed evening. This was a good podcast tonight, mashallah. You know, pray that
we had to bring Zafir out the G League. That's all.
Yeah. Please share, like, share the
I love you guys.
Facebook algorithms going. You know what I'm saying? To spread the video around.
Make sure you share it, like it, share it on your platforms, share it to other groups that you're in. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, and so everybody know, like, I am actually a licensed professional counselor. So, That's right.
I'll help you out.
Nobody ain't coming to see you, Otis. I'm playing.
Listen, I be whipping these women into shape, though. Okay.
Inshallah.
Hey, look, she the cure on the East Coast. Our sister Hakima is in the Midwest. The Crimson Cure, Hakima.
Oh yeah. Now.
So me and her need to meet if she watches this, inshallah.
I don't know, inshallah. I'm gonna see, inshallah.
All right.
One day we'll probably get on, inshallah. One day.
Okay, inshallah.
All right, see y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.